agriculture is to all of us in South Dakota, and how important this cultural festival, this wonderful experience of the South Dakota State Fair is. As I said, we came here every year. I remember one time, 1992, Susie and I were over here and we had some friends, and I played in a little band called the Micro Dogs, which was a country band, and the veterinarians had a chili cook-off right around here, and they invited the Micro Dogs to come and play, probably because the price was right. We didn't charge anything, and there were 12 veterinarians having chili, and we just had a blast together. But that's what the State Fair is if you're over in Miller. It's just the most important time. That and the state basketball tournament are the biggest times in the calendar for all of us. You know, when I came back after I finished at the U, I started to work for farmers again, only this time in the capacity as a lawyer. And I have to tell you that when I was down at the University of South Dakota, a lot of people don't know this, but Dennis and I were in the same fraternity. We were members of Lambda Chi Alpha. He's a few years ahead of me in school. And it's always interesting for me to hear his story about washing dishes. Because when I was at the Lambda Chi house at USD, I got half of my room and board paid for washing dishes. And it occurs to me that while he was out washing someone else's dishes, I was washing Dennis's dishes. When I got back home to Miller, we went to work. Susie and I started our family. We had our 2 boys. She started a business on Main Street in Miller, and we just had a great time, and we honestly loved it. I loved fighting for farmers. I had the chance to do that then again in Sioux Falls when we moved down there, when the farmers in Marion and Parker and Freeman were told that they couldn't have their own ethanol plant. I went to bat for them in court, and we fought for their right, and we won. And now the Millennium Ethanol Plant is a reality down there outside of Marion because those farmers contacted me and I went to bat for them. When the farmers in the Jim River Valley from Marshall County all the way down to Yankton and through Beetle County had their land condemned by TransCanada, they came to me and we went to bat and we fought to get fair treatment for those farmers in the Jim River Valley, and we were able to do it. Well, I think South Dakota agriculture needs a fighter again. I think right now the challenges we face as a state are enormous. From a budget deficit of $107 million that this administration has created, to growth in state budget of 53% over 8 years, to a growth in the number of state employees, a new state employee in a position every 48 hours that these guys have been in office. We simply cannot sustain that. We need to change the way we go about governing in South Dakota, reducing the size of government, reducing the bureaucracy so that we can reinvest in education and infrastructure. I'm looking forward to your questions, and I can hardly wait to get started. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Heidertrim. And now we'll start with the questions, and what we're going to do is just alternate between who goes first. I've got a whole stack of questions here, so obviously folks have a lot to ask, so we'll get started right away. I will start with Mr. Heidertrim on this first question, which is, what is your ag platform?
The most important thing we can do in agriculture in South Dakota is finish our products at home. And that's why ethanol has been so successful. We're looking at 1 billion bushel of corn for the first time in South Dakota history. We may not get there this year, but we're on pace to do that. 200 bushels an acre. I mean, that's just incredible to me. And we do a good job of using those products close to home. But we're now exporting 1 million head of cattle every year out of South Dakota. 1 million head of cattle down to the Platte River Valley, where they're fed Nebraska corn and Nebraska products, and the wealth is added in Nebraska. That's what has to stop. We continue to export the most valuable thing we have, which are the natural resources raised by you, and then the value is added somewhere else, and we don't get the benefit of it back here in South Dakota. What we've seen from ethanol is how a successful strategy can work to use products at home. That's why I'm such a big proponent of the beef plant up in Aberdeen. I know that's been controversial to a lot of folks, but to me it's pretty simple. We need to finish those products at home. You can export a critter down to the Platte River Valley for $500 an animal, and they can finish it and sell it for $12.50 down there, and I'll tell you who gets the benefit. It's the state of Nebraska, it's the people of Nebraska, it's the farmers and the ranchers of Nebraska. We need to keep those dollars here at home.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Dugard, same question. What is your ag platform?
Well, I think it varies depending upon the type of agriculture you're looking at.
First of all, for our grain farmers, probably the greatest challenge we're facing